Welcome back, Twitch. We are here live in Las Vegas for reInvent 2019. We have a very special session coming up for you. We're going to be talking about Amazon Detective. And with me here are two special guests from the product team, as well as my colleague Steve, because I say a lot of dumb stuff, and he's going to make me look smart. Gentlemen, could you please introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, I'm Mark Taranzoni. I'm the GM and responsible for Detective. I also have responsibility for Inspector within the security systems groups.
And I'm Louis Maldonado. I'm responsible for product management for Amazon Detective, but responsible means I've got a team that does all the heavy lifting. They make me look good. Makes my job easy.
I'm Steve, tech evangelist at AWS.
All right, and I'm Robert, also on the developer relations team. Awesome. So, let's begin by explaining what Amazon Detective is. What is the problem that it solves for the customer?
Sure. Before I go into exactly what we solve, I want to take you a little step back and talk about some of the journey we've had over the last couple of years, talking to customers and understanding the challenges they have. So a couple things. First and foremost, Amazon Detective is focused on providing a native investigation capability for findings or suspicious activity in your accounts or your roles or your user base within AWS. But it creates a challenge for a lot of our customers. Over the course of the year, we've talked to many of them, and they said that the logs are very voluminous, they're growing over time, there's a lot of noise, and they really want to try to understand what that signal is. They also find that there's some complexity in the logs. Even though we provide a lot of details on what we have for information, we don't synthesize it and make it simple for them to utilize. And then ultimately in the security business, everybody's got a skills shortage. People are trying to hire folks as fast as they can. We understand there's probably about 1 million open requisitions for hires in this space. So they really want their highly trained and effective security analysts focused on the most important things and not worrying about gathering data or wrangling data or trying to collaborate it. And then last but not least is cost. By storing logs, and sometimes you have to go back in time on security events, by keeping that for a long period of time, it becomes costly. And customers unfortunately have had to choose to keep certain logs for periods of time or not to keep logs at all because of the costs associated with them. So really when we think about what we're doing with Detective, it's really focused on solving those problems for customers. So first and foremost, we make it super simple to get the important log data from your accounts and bring it into a system that you can interact with on a regular basis. So no couple clicks to enable, no work behind the scene, no logs to provision. We bring CloudTrail, we bring virtual private cloud, volume logs, and we bring all your guard duty findings all into one place. And then we synthesize that and we store it for a long period of time, but then we give you an interactive view on how to utilize it.
Great. So can you back up a moment and talk about, you highlighted some of the big problems that face security engineers today, security analysts. Can you talk a bit about the ecosystem of services that we use today, and then where does Detective situate itself relative to those? I mean, because it sounds like you're highlighting a capabilities shortage in a key area, right? But can you talk about some of the adjacent services, so to speak?
Yeah, actually, maybe I'll cover that. One of the things that we've noticed is that analysts typically have a number of tools already in their business. So they're using a SIEM, or they're using an orchestration server. They've got detection services. They're using services from Amazon itself. And part of what happens is when you're in that service, you're in a place where you've got an issue that you need to detect, you're often on your own to go dig through logs and have to go to a bespoke place to maybe query for things. So a lot of things that Mark is talking about, folks don't have the people to be able to do that always. So when it comes to the ecosystem, we wanted to plug right into that. And that's the beauty of the work that we're going to show you here, is that it fits in whether you've got any one of these consoles within Amazon itself where you want to plug us in, or you have a console from external. We can help you work that, work the investigation capability right in. So it really marries nicely, completes the picture, and lets you not have to worry about jumping out and doing some of the pivoting, which I'm going to come back to in a second too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I hear that we have a demo prepared. Is that right?
We do, yeah. I wanted to make it a little bit more real, just to show you a bit about how people use this. So this idea of pivoting, this idea of kind of going to different places in logs and understanding things is what we wanted to try to avoid. We wanted to really get people out of that business. And what Mark described is a pretty tough problem. People have to go to know where things are to look up any specific piece of information. So that's a piece we want to just eliminate for you. So by synthesizing this work, as Mark was talking about, we're able to present visualizations that you don't really have to think about where it came from. So I wanted to use an example. There's a typical concern when people, you probably hear about today, people thinking about their systems and protection, is the problem around cryptocurrency mining. Whether it's, you've got credentials that are lost, that people are now using your resources. There's always somebody looking to make money on cryptocurrency mining. So it's a problem that we've seen people, kind of concerned about in their accounts. So I thought I'd show you an example of how the console can help you understand what does that look like in my accounts and what else might be related. So here it is. Hopefully this is showing up on the screen. I've got an account page up in Detective. And effectively, what you're seeing, we call profile pages. And profile pages tell you lots of great information about any specific artifact that you're looking at in our system. So in this case, I'm looking at a page that tells me about these accounts, this account in this case. It gives me lots of context. It tells me findings that it might have. In this case, there's a lot of findings. It's a big account. It might tell me things like overall call volume behavior, things that I might be seeing. And these are all meant to answer those questions that an analyst might have. Okay. So I'm going to show you an example where, all right, if we're concerned about cryptocurrency mining, let's say we wanted to find, do I have any indications of that in this account? Very quickly, I can look up finding type. I'm going to use shorthand, look for something with crypt, and basically I'm now seeing some of the cryptocurrency mining. I do have some activity that's potentially in my account. So what I would do is I could pick one of these that might be interesting, but I basically select one of these and open up another profile page, we call it, for each one of these instances that I might look at. So in this case, what we've done is we've integrated with GuardDuty. And in GuardDuty, it will tell you lots of great things about affected resources. So you'll see when you pop over to a findings profile page, we'll tell you everything about the GuardDuty findings, the details that come from there, what affected accounts, what affected instances were involved. This cryptocurrency mining has a lot to do with VPC flow. So we're summarizing a lot of the flow details. You see if you go over to the tab here, we can show you what was the traffic patterns, what it looked like. And you see in this case, I've never really seen anything, and all of a sudden I'm seeing a lot of
spike.
Yeah, I see big spikes. So those are the kind of things that immediately I can ask myself, well, is this normal? Do I normally expect this type of behavior between my accounts? Who started this role, or who started up this instance, which is a great reason to come back here. At any point, if I have something else I want to ask, it's really easy to just pivot into an understanding of another page. So that question I had around, well, who started this? I can go and look at this role here that created the instance. Again, it's an easy click to go over and tab over and look at the page for that. And then I can see what behaviors do I expect on this role. Have I seen much going on in the most recent time? And remember, Mark said we store this for a long period of time. So if I want to actually back up and say, well, how long have I known about this role doing anything? I can go and edit the time period that I'm looking at and show that in the last 30 days, what have I seen? And you notice when I update the time, I'm going to see a lot more traffic, a lot more patterns of what's going on. So those are really easy for me to go back and forth. One of the things that's really nice is as I look at this, I can see new behaviors. So even if I haven't thought about, where is this coming from, if I pop over to some of the visualizations, I can even see most of my traffic is normally coming from Ashburn, but I'm seeing some really interesting new activity here that I wasn't seeing before. So we're baselining behaviors, we're showing those insights, and giving you a really easy way to just kind of look around and be able to understand where these things are coming from. So these are really easy ways to just kind of understand your own account. You can even say, well, if you're worried about that other account, where else? This is a great reason to say, where else might I see that IP interacting? A great reason to pop over to that IP, and with that history in mind, I can see what other resources have been involved. Are there any other instances that might have been used by this external IP? And in fact, we'll tell you that right out of the gate.
Oh, so this is following down through I won't say dependencies, but it's following a chain of
exactly
stuff that's happening.
Well, you notice how my line of questioning is as I'm seeing
You're
an
drilling.
insight. Yeah, I say, well, what about that one? What do I know about this? And I'm not really expecting that pattern behavior. Let me look a little bit deeper. And before you know it, I'm sort of scoping out what's involved. I know that there might be an affected role. I'm seeing maybe potentially other resources, and I even have the indicator, this other IP where this traffic is coming from, and even the regions. Really easy for me to just from a few clicks understand a scoping of this potential issue that normally I'd be going and pivoting across multiple logs, to identify geographies, identify flow, identify API behavior. You notice I didn't have to do any of that.
Which is a huge amount of work, right? Digging through all those
It's a lot of
logs.
work.
So
Plus those
helpful.
baselines and the analytics that we're doing, I don't have to worry about calculating. It's already done for me.
Right. I saw a question scroll up on the Twitch chat just before you got started with the demo.
Yeah.
Does this work? You mentioned guard duty integration. Does this work across accounts in an AWS organization?
We are supporting accounts in general, multi-account. So the service itself, much like GuardDuty does today, it's multi-account by default. So that means you have a master account where we bring all the accounts, all the data together. You invite the members, which we want to monitor, and we bring that all together. So if those are in an organization, we will be supporting the ability to inherit that same organizational structure. To start, we're mimicking what our teams are used to and our customers are used to with GuardDuty, sort of the master model, but we will be integrating as well.
Okay, cool. So taking the integrations thing a bit further, I mean,
Yeah.
what are the partner integrations, or the service integrations that we have?
Yeah, the exciting part about this is right out of the gate, we actually have a number of partners here displaying this, which we're really excited about. I mentioned early on that the ecosystem of these tools and services is growing, and it's everyone's pretty excited about using their existing capabilities. So we have vendors that are providing SIM integrations. So if you're looking at alerts and you're looking at findings that they might be generating out of your SIM, you can actually go and investigate those. We have orchestration servers coming from a manual step that's needed in an orchestration playbook, being able to pivot over here. Other detective services, if they have detections that they see on an instance that one of our partners has found, you can go and pivot directly to one of these pages. It's a really nice way of bringing the Morocco, the detective. I told myself I was not going to use our code name today.
I'm glad you did it before me.
Well, then you know what,
On the
code name
services
is.
side, though, too, as well, we realize that not every one of our customers have security teams that are capable of
Right.
investigating and diving deep. So in addition to the technology partners that Lewis talked about, we've also engaged with a number of service partners that actually can do this work on behalf of the customers. So they're already trained up, they're ready to go, and they're available to help any customers that need it.
All right. Let's talk about, you had that really cool map of where the traffic was originally from. Let's talk about regions. Where is this available, and what's the pricing?
Yeah, let me make it clear. We're at preview. We're announcing preview today.
Okay.
So it's available in 5 regions. It's in Northern Virginia, Ohio, Oregon, Narita, and Dublin. And you'll land in our landing page and be able to sign up for preview. We are announcing pricing though. As we talked about earlier, we have 3 sources of data that come in day one. VPC Flow, which is already transferred into gigabytes. We take CloudTrail and we convert it to gigabytes, and we take GuardDuty findings and convert it to gigabytes. So the measurement in the pricing is all on gigabytes of volume, and the first terabyte per month is $2 a gigabyte. Then it drops down to $1 gigabyte for the next 4 terabytes a month. Then the next 5 terabytes are 50 cents a gigabyte, and then anything after that is 25 cents a gigabyte. So if you're generating 10 terabytes a month, which is not uncommon for many customers, the price will be less than $1 a gigabyte, which we hope allows virtually any customer, large or small, to be able to turn on the service and get value from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hosts, perhaps you can help paste the URL. That's Amazon.com/detective.
That's right.
So we'll get that link going in chat so you can check it out yourselves.
I
now,
think it's there.
One of the things that I've been wondering as you're going through this demo is there are a lot of specifics here. You clearly had a user in mind. You had a problem. It seems like a very customer-obsessed approach. Maybe you could take us a little bit further back in the product development lifecycle. Tell us about the moment when you realized, gee, we really have to build this product. This is missing. What was that moment like?
Well, I think customers are sort of telling us it was pretty easy. Most of the time, what they've been struggling with is that I've sat in SOCs and I've watched the teams swivel chair around between 4 or 5 consoles, and it was a little painful to watch. We understood, they kind of stood behind and said, I understand why you have to do this, but it was very clear. They would say, I have to look at this, now this is over here, and this is over here. So we have 4 different screens, a laptop, trying to remember where this was, opening up this log, writing this query, and it was just clear as we were sitting there watching teams that we could make that situation better. So a lot of different ways that we could help certainly with that. We wanted to take a really good view on just what most customers would need. There's a range in skills in terms of folks who go really deep and do forensics and go deep down, and we do have capability for them, but we wanted to make sure it was something that every team, every security team that has an analyst can do what I just showed you. So we made sure that it was focused on visualizations that were easy to consume, didn't have to think too much about data science behind it. It just shows me a baseline, it shows me patterns. This is something that everybody can consume, and you do it quickly. You don't have to worry about thinking about which screen was it on and what does that pattern mean to me. It's very simple and easy to consume. So that's kind of what really pushed us in this direction.
Cool. So remember, we are live, so if you have questions for the team, please get them in the chat window. We have a couple of minutes left.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that I want to go back to the integration point.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other integration services. A lot of other security services that we offer, and we have other popular services like Security Hub and Macy. Now, I know we talked a little bit about the partner integrations, but maybe you can revisit that topic and tell us a bit about how exactly Detective works here. Because the impression I get is that we have a better situation, that these all kind of work together pretty seamlessly, right? So can you walk us through that a little bit more?
Yeah. I'll start and Lewis can jump in after. So within our teams, we really want to give customers a perspective that when you're going from console to console, it almost feels like it's one console, right? So we want to have those deep integrations, especially with products that we have internally and built. So what Lewis showed you initially was a GuardDuty integration. So in GuardDuty's console, on any finding that you have, if you've got both Detective and GuardDuty enabled, you'll have an action button that you can drill down to and just click investigate. You'll immediately launch into Detective and be situated on that exact finding on that page with all the timing and all the context. So it's a very deep integration, very similar to Security Hub, where Security Hub is aggregating findings from multiple vendors and bringing them across resources to give a resource view of finding or activity that's happening. Similar scenario, you can deep link into Morocco from a resource or findings from Security Hub. Similar, Macy and Inspector are other services within the team, so we don't have them at preview at the same level as GuardDuty and Security Hub, but those will be fast follows, similar integrations.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would say to add to make it look real, if we're able to switch back to the console, I can actually show it to you working. Basically, where our aim was making sure that it felt very natural, very integrated with those tools. So working closely with our partner teams, they're able to link in directly, making sure that any one of the actions that we have that's available to go directly into the Detective console was available. So I don't know if this is showing for the team, but I can basically show you if in this particular case, I'm looking at the GuardDuty console here. And within the GuardDuty console, there's new action here, and that's just to investigate. You notice how very simple, and clicking on that brings me to one of those finding pages that I talked about. So really trying to make that very simple and integrated.
Yeah, so it sounds like some excellent integration, and I hope that we can look forward to deeper integration with the consortium of services in the future. That's all the time we have. Thank you very much for being with us. Chat, I hope you had a good sense of what the service can provide, and I really do hope that you check it out. We'll be back soon.
Thanks.
Well,
Thanks, everyone.